zwischen dem Alter seitens dem Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek Verzeichnungen von die Kinderjahren. Amongst the Zaydis, the elder Zaydas, the Tzemach Tzedek.
Right, so I got really good at.
So whose elder Zayda is the Tzemach Tzedek?
The
Frierdiker Rebbe.
Yeah.
So the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying that my great-grandfather, the Tzemach Tzedek, had notes. And among those notes, okay, read weiter. Seinen
Veran gewisse der Erzählungen, was sein Seide, Rabbeinu Hagadol, hat erzählt von seinen Kinderjahren.
Okay, so who's talking?
Who's what?
So who are we going to be hearing about?
Tzemach Tzedek's son.
Tzemach Tzedek's grandfather, who was the Alter Rebbe, referred to as Rabbeinu Hagadol. And the Alter Rebbe is going to tell us what happened in his Kinderjahren.
In his childhood.
Right. Okay. Further.
Wenn ich, sagt Rabbeinu Hagadol, bin gewesen ben Chamish, habe ich gewusst, der Minion von Uneshamayis Ani Asisi. When I was a mere 5 years old, I understood the Indian of that's what Hashem says. I've created Neshamayis. Die stehende Fashais for seinen Faran bei jeder Ben und Bas Yisrael. The two nefashos that is in each and every daughter and son of the Bnei Yisrael. A nefesh adikis und a nefesh abahamis. In jener Zeit, in jener Zeit habe ich sich stark bestadel gewesen und gelegt a starke Igia als das, was ich weiß, soll ich wissen, So I made sure, basically he made sure to understand everything perfectly. Literally.
Deeply.
And
so when he was 5 years old, you gotta laugh at yourself, huh? When he was 5 years old, he put a great effort into making sure that everything that he knew, he understood deeply.
Yeah. In this case,
I wonder what he did when he was 6 years old. Okay, can you get another?
Ich hab dann asach getracht, was ist der Unterschied zwischen die zwei Neshamayos. I would think a lot about what the difference was between the two nefashos.
Yeah.
Between the two neshamayos, nefesh l'chis, nefesh abahamis. Es ist doch neshamayos ani asisi, seinen doch beide ani asisi. They're both neshamayos that Hashem created. Es hat mir genommen a gewisse Zeit bis
Hashem Yisbarech
hat der Leichend, can I read that? Der Leicht, what is that word?
Yeah.
Hat der Leicht
illuminated
mein Koyach HaSeichel as beide, the Nefesh HaBe'elikis und Nefesh HaBahamis, Tarnemin Vermogen.
Vermogen. They possess.
Yeah, what's the next word?
Koiches.
Koiches ruchnius was belebt die koiches hanefesh von Seichel Umidas Ratzon und
Einig.
Naar der uns. Wow, it's very blurry.
Der Unterschied
Zwischen die zwei Neshamas is as follows. Okay, so finally he understood that
both nefoshes vermogen koiches ruchnim.
they both possess koyach ruchni.
And what does it do? Was baleben
Koyches hanefesh von Seichel Umidas. They possess. They have in them.
baleben
They make light. They enliven.
Good.
Okay, yeah. So the Nefesh Bahamis and the Nefesh Elokis both have Koyches Aruchnius, and they enliven the Ratzon Umidas and Eineg, Tainug, whatever that word is.
Okay, so a person has koiches. We know that. What are the koiches? There's Eineg, Tainug, then there's Ratzon, then there's Seichel, then there's Midas, and then there's Levushim. Yeah, we know that?
Yeah.
So when you have two nefoshes, it means that there are two energies that bring alive the koiches hanefesh. They stimulate the koiches hanefesh. What is the energy behind Tainug? A nefesh. What is the energy behind Seichel? A nefesh. And so on. When you have two nefoshes, it means that there's an energy that is achelek elaka mimal. This energy produces a tainug and a rotzen and a seichel and mides and levushim. But the same is true with the nefesh habahamis. The nefesh habahamis is energy, and this energy produces tainug and rotzen and seichel and mides and levushim, but all in gashmias. So, for example, in the nefesh elikis, in the seichel of the nefesh elikis, godliness makes sense, because the energy of the seichel of the nefesh elikis is godly. In the nefesh habahamis, it produces a seichel, but the seichel is only in gashmis. It doesn't understand things that you can't see and touch. So they're both neshamis because they create a whole person. Yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah.
It's not like a yetzer hara. A yetzer hara is not a nefesh. It's just one feeling, bad feeling. It's not a whole personality. And that's why you can kill your yetzer hara and you're still a healthy person. Because yetzer hara is not part of what makes you a human being. But if you kill your seichel, you're not a human being anymore. Even if you kill your dibur, you're not a human being anymore. Because a human being is a medaber. So what is the taich of a nefesh? A nefesh means a whole personality made up of tainug and rotzen and seichel and mides and levushim. And in every Jew, there are two sets. There is Tainug that is from the Nefesh Elikis, Tainug from the Nefesh Abahamis. There's Rotzen from the Nefesh Elikis, Rotzen from the Nefesh Abahamis, and so on. Go to the next column. Okay, so the second paragraph. Venichab. Anybody else want to read? Anybody else? Hello, Mendel. How's your Yiddish?
Give it a shot.
Okay. Venichab tiefer betracht.
Tiefer betracht, and I thought deeper. The Mahus Ruchnik von die beiden Neshames in Zeire Fane Haishtadlus Wirken auf dimension. In the essential difference, or Ruchnistic difference between the two Neshames and the way they affect and work on the person.
Right. So they both produce all the kaiches, but they do it differently. They have a different method. Go ahead.
Ja, habe ich ausgefunden, sehr Verschiedenartigkeit in sehr Fane Hapules. So I found that their difference is in the different ways that they do things.
That they have an effect.
The Nefesh Elikis is Hopne Herzig, and the Nefesh Bahamis is a Chakran B'Mahusai. The Nefesh Elikis is, I'm not sure this word, upstanding, truthful.
Yes.
And the Nefesh Bahamis is a liar, false. And kumple pises b'cholamini shkarim.
The fates.
He comes to trick you with or fool you with many different lies.
Okay. So what does that mean? Let's say that in English. The two nefashis influence your koiches, let's say your seichel. But how do they influence? In both cases, the nefesh does not force. And even the nefesh elikis, all of its seichel is in godliness. It understands godliness. So it influences the seichel that it should think godly, but it doesn't force it. There's no force. Nefesh Abahamis also doesn't force. So what is the difference? And again, this the Alter Rebbe figured out when he was 5. The Nefesh Elikis is upfront, honest, and truthful. No shtick. The Nefesh Elikis comes and says, this is true. This is true. The Eibishter created the world, Einod Milvade. It's true, it's true. It's almost like naive. The Nefesh Abahamis is not interested in what is true. The Nefesh Abahamis is interested in what works. What works for me? Does it make me stronger? Does it make me richer? Does it give me more pleasure? Does it make me happier? That's a Nefesh Abahamis. Therefore, it influences all your kaiches to always think, what can I get from this? And that's sheker. It's not interested in the truth. If you're not interested in truth, then you're lying. Because if it's not emes, then it's sheker. So what is the difference between the Nefesh Elikis and the Nefesh Abahamis? Here's the point that we need to understand so that we'll understand the Maimer. There are a number of important qualities. For example, you look at something, is it beautiful or is it ugly? You look at something and you say, is this right or is this wrong? Is it good or is it bad? Is it high or is it low? A higher madrega, a lower madrega? Is this healthy or is it unhealthy? Is this helpful or destructive? See, these are all concerns. You're thinking of doing something or not doing it. What do you consider? Any one of the above. If it's high, then I would like to do it. If it's low, if it's right, but if it's wrong, so all of these considerations, let's just stick to one of them. Teiv v'ra. When you judge whether something is for you or not for you, one of the important considerations is this good or is it bad? A mitzvah or an avera? The Alter Rebbe says that's important, but that's not the most important. The most important difference between nefesh elikis and nefesh habahamis is not that the nefesh elikis is good and the nefesh habahamis is bad, because that we have in yetzer tov, yetzer hara. The Chiddush of Tanya, you notice that what the Alter Rebbe was thinking when he was 5 years old is Perek Aleph of Tanya. Yes, l'chol nefesh miYisrael shtei neshama shehem shtei nefashos. That's Perek Aleph of Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe started writing the Tanya when he was 5, in a sense, right? So what does it say? Everybody thought that all we had was a yetzer tov and a yetzer hara, and we're constantly choosing between the two. Mitzvah avera, mitzvah avera. The Alter Rebbe came along and he said, what kind of an ugly battle is that? You're constantly thinking, should I do a mitzvah, should I do an avera? That's insulting. We have two nefashos. And what's the difference between the two nefashos? Not the same difference as between yetzer hara and yetzer tov. A yetzer tov is better than a yetzer hara because tov is better than ra, right? Why is a chacham better than the tam? Because chachma is better than tipshus. It's higher. What is the difference between the two nefashos? This is the essence, the etzem of Chassidus. You have two nefashos, and you have to choose between them. But what's the difference between them? So if you choose your nefesh elikis because it is good, and you fight your nefesh habahamis because it is bad, you're learning Musar, not Chassidus. That's why to understand this at 5 years old is unbelievable. What is the difference between the nefesh elikis and the nefesh habahamis? Most people wouldn't even ask that question. What are you talking about? This is a nefesh elikis and this is nefesh habahamis. So what's the difference? Oh, godly is much higher than animal. Higher. Alter Rebbe said, no, that can't be. Okay, nefesh elikis is better than nefesh habahamis because the nefesh elikis is holier. No. The nefesh elikis is healthier. No. he found out the difference between them is the Nefesh Elikis tells you the emes, and the Nefesh HaBahamis tells you what something false. That's it. Now you're a chassid. Why? Because now the reason you choose the Nefesh Elikis is because it's emes. And the reason you reject the Nefesh HaBahamis is because it's sheker. Now, most people would not get that excited. Emes and sheker. That's not, that's such a big difference. Dangerous and safe. Oh, that's a big difference. So if you tell me the Nefesh Elikis is safe, Nefesh HaBahamis is dangerous, oh, now I'm going to be careful. If you tell me the Nefesh Elikis is good, Nefesh HaBahamis is bad, I don't want to be bad. But you tell me the Nefesh Elikis is emes, Nefesh HaBahamis is sheker. So what's the problem? A chassid is motivated more by whether it's emes or sheker than whether it'll save your life or kill you. And learning Chassidus is essentially developing that appreciation that if it's emes, then it's everything. And if it's sheker, it's nothing. Worse than bad, it's nothing. Okay, let me read further. Wenn ich hab es gefunden, der Metzias HaMahus von dem Nefesh HaBahamis, when I discovered the essence of the animal soul, hat mir Hashem Yisborech geholfen. I was helped from above. This is a new gilui in Torah. As ihr soll es gefinnen die Darkei HaHakora. He helped me discover how to identify, wie man soll kennen wissen, in jeder Sach von Dvorim HaMutorim, how to know in all the things that are not mitzvahs, just regular mutter, eating lunch. I was able to identify what der Mensch hat zu sehr hamshoche unarotzen, all of the things that a person is drawn to. You have to be able to recognize von wenn men kum de hamshoche. Tzi von Nefesh Elikis, tzi von Nefesh HaBahamis. You want to eat lunch. Where is that coming from? It's a rotzen. The Nefesh Elikis has rotzen, the Nefesh HaBahamis has rotzen. Whose rotzen is it to eat lunch? So if you ask a person who never learned Chassidus, you say, to eat lunch? I mean, you have to eat lunch. It's probably coming from the Nefesh Elikis. Fooled. In fact, let's say you want to eat lunch on Shabbos. Sudas Shabbos. Sudas Shabbos? Come on, that's Nefesh Elikis. Are you sure? It can just as easily be Nefesh HaBahamis. And that's why we don't have the minhag of saying Lekovit Shabbos Kodesh. People have a minhag, before they eat the fish, they say Lekovit Shabbos Kodesh. Before they eat the soup, Lekovit Shabbos Kodesh. Then they eat the meat, Lekovit Shabbos Kodesh. We don't do that. Why? Because it's not nice to lie. So the Rebbe says that the Eibishter had me geholfen, and I was able to identify, is it coming from the Nefesh Elikis, or is it coming from the Nefesh HaBahamis? Remember that famous story, I think with the Chernobyler, that once a year, one of his Chassidim would come and give him a very big donation. Let's say 300 ruble. And the 300 ruble, they were able to pay up all the bills that the Rebbe had. So the Rebbe's Mesharis waited all year for that chassid to come because it really bothered him that the Rebbe had bills in the grocery store, by the sheiche, but so he looked forward to this chassid coming and giving the money. That night in Yechidus, that this chassid came, other people also came. It was a long night. At the end of the night, the Mesharis went into the Rebbe to take the money that the Chassidim gave. And the Rebbe gave him like 30 ruble. He was shocked. And the Rebbe noticed, I think it was the Chernobyler. And the Rebbe said, let me tell you what happened. The rich chassid came, gave me 300 ruble like every year. I put it in my drawer to pay the bills. After him came another chassid who has to marry off his daughter, and he doesn't have any money, and the shidduch is going to fall apart if he can't come up with the money. I asked him how much he needs. He said 300 ruble. So I was reaching into the drawer to take out the 300 ruble to give him. But then it occurred to me that it wouldn't be right to give away all 300 ruble, and anyone else who comes tonight who's going to need some money, I'm not going to have what to give him. So I thought maybe I should divide the 300 ruble into 3 parts. I should give him 100 ruble. I should put aside 100 ruble, pay the bills, and I should save 100 ruble to give to the other people who are going to come tonight. And then I realized I don't know which idea is coming from which nefesh. The idea of giving him the 300 ruble, where did that come from? Nefesh Elikis or Nefesh Abahamis? The idea of dividing the money into 3 parts, where did that come from? So I had to stop and think about it. And I discovered that my first thought was to give away the 300 ruble. When I was about to give away the 300 ruble, then suddenly I came up with the idea of maybe dividing it into 3 parts. So I asked myself, why didn't I think of that in the first place? When he gave me the 300 ruble, why didn't I think, what, all for myself to pay bills? Should divide it into 3 parts. So I didn't think of that. I put it in my drawer to pay my bills. When did this idea of dividing it into 3 parts, when did that pop into my head? When I was about to do a big mitzvah and give the 300 ruble to this guy for his daughter's wedding. So when I was about to do that, all of a sudden a new idea came in. Maybe divide it into 3 parts. So I knew that the second idea of dividing it is coming from the Nefesh HaBahamis that doesn't want to see me do such a mitzvah of giving away the 300 ruble. In other words, any idea that argues against the thought of a mitzvah can't be coming from a Nefesh Elikis. So, I mean, we can't really compare Rebbes, but the Alter Rebbe figured this out when he was 5. So, next paragraph. Es durch a gewisse Zeit, a certain amount of time went by. The word gewisse, certain. It's not an exact number, it's a certain amount of time. Hat Hashem Yisbarach der Leuchten Einei Sichli, the Eberste turned the light on in my seichel. I have to verstehen that I should be able to understand as es is faran a nefesh hasichlis, that there is actually a third nefesh, and it's called nefesh hasichlis, the intelligent soul. Vader nefesh balaych dem Menschen, this nefesh teaches the person soll haben a gewisse Hakore in dem Emes von Nefesh Olikis und in der Falschkeit von dem Nefesh Abahamis. He already knew that the Nefesh Olikis is Emes and the Nefesh Abahamis is false. What did he gain now? This third step. The third step is the nefesh hasichlis, human intelligence, is capable of developing an appreciation, a respect for emes, and a hatred or a distaste for sheker. So we were saying before, when you tell a person this is emes and this is sheker, it doesn't scare them so much. The emes is not so important to them, and sheker is not so terrible. But that's without the nefesh hasichlis. The nefesh hasichlis, seichel, true seichel, actually appreciates emes and is disgusted with sheker. So as far as emotions are concerned, emotions don't really care. It's emes, it's sheker. I mean, what's the difference? If it works, if it tastes good, if it feels good, if it'll make me proud, if it'll embarrass me, those are important considerations. But it's emes or it's sheker. Emotions don't care, but seichel cares. A Baal seichel, a real chacham, if he has an idea in his head and it turns out that the idea is wrong, false conclusion, it's horrible. And when he discovers something and it turns out to be true, he's in seventh heaven. That comes from seichel. Last line. Und dann bin ich gewinn sicher, als ich bin gekommen zu dem richtigen Derech HaChaim. This is such an incredible little piece of a sicha. You cannot live without this. Look what he's saying. When I recognized all of the above, I discovered Chabad. This is Chabad. Why do you need Chabad? What's wrong with Ava and Yira and skip the Chabad? Why do you need Chochma, Bina, Das? What do you need it for? If something is good, do it because it's good. If it's bad, run away. If it gives you pleasure, great. If it hurts you, avoid it. That's Chagas. They were very, very holy people without Chabad. Because they loved what is holy and they hated what was tummy. They loved what was pure and beautiful and they hated what was ugly. What do you need Chabad? If you're going to choose emes over sheker, for that you need Chabad. Only Seichel is horrified by Sheker. Only Seichel is thrilled by Emes. So, Moshe Emes, V'Teirose Emes, Hashem Elokeinu Emes, Hashem Elokechem, Emes. If that doesn't impress you, then you're sheker. Is that terrible? It's worse than bad. It's worse than bad. It's sheker. So let's go through the steps again. The Rebbe was 5 years old, and he knew that there were two souls. It doesn't say how he knew. He knew that there were two souls. He tried to understand, how can there be two souls? They're both souls, and they're both created by the Eibishter, Neshama is Ani Asisi, and yet they're different? What's their difference? So he found out that the reason that they're both souls is because they each have a whole set of keiches. They each have tainug, they each have ratzon, they each have seichel. That's why they're a nefesh, not a yetzer. What does a nefesh do? It activates, it excites the keiches. It excites your seichel to understand. It excites your emotions to feel. It excites your ratzon to want. The difference is that the nefesh alikis excites all your keiches in the direction of godliness. And the nefesh habahamis excites all the keiches in gashmias. Then the Rebbe says, I was helped from above to appreciate the difference in how they work. How does the Nefesh Alikis influence you? And how does the Nefesh HaBahamis influence you? And I discovered the Nefesh Alikis comes and says, look, this is the Emes. Emes Hashem Le'olam. The world was created for the Eibishter. The only reason we're here is for the Eibishter. Ein Eid Milvadei. That's the fact. Like, what are you going to do? That's true. The Nefesh HaBahamis is not interested in true. What does it do for me? And because the Nefesh HaBahamis be'etzem is not interested in emes, it certainly can't use emes to excite you. It doesn't even excite the Nefesh HaBahamis. So what does the Nefesh HaBahamis use? It uses temptation. It teases you. This can be fun. This can be very good for you. You can get rich like this. So you become addicted to gambling because maybe I'll get rich. You become addicted to food because it tastes really good. You become addicted to mashke because then you can say whatever you want and not get blamed. There's always a benefit. However, if you're looking for what works for you, whether it's emes or not, then you're a shakran. If you're not interested in emes, then you're a liar. So everything the Nefesh HaBahamis says, not true. Mainly, what the Nefesh HaBahamis is saying is, life means doing what's good for you. So if you're a really grubber Nefesh HaBahamis, the only thing good for me is what I can see and what I can taste. An edel and Nefesh HaBahamis. What's good for me? to go to Gan Eden, to get covered for being a big tzaddik. That works for me. It's all nefesh habahamis. Like, you know, that image of a behemoth sitting at a Shabbos table, eating, but with a shtreimel on its head. Eating Shabbos with a shtreimel. Why is it a behemoth? Not because it's eating like a behemoth. It's because even the pleasure you get from feeling good about the fact that you're keeping Shabbos and you're being a holy man, that's also nefesh habahamis. Because it works for you. It works for your edele needs, not your grobe needs. But it's the same thing. You know, there are ugly-looking animals and there are beautiful-looking animals. They're both animals. So now the Alter Rebbe understands that the sales pitch of the Nefesh Elikis is emes. Why should you do a mitzvah? It's emes. Why should you not do an aveda? The thought that you could do an aveda is sheker. Or he says in Tanya, the thought that even though you're going to do the aveda, it's not going to affect your neshama and you're still going to be a good Jew. It's sheker. That's the sales pitch of the Nefesh Elikis. The sales pitch of the Nefesh habahamis is, try it, you'll like it. And that can be true of food, of avedas, or of mitzvahs. Why should you do a mitzvah? Try it, you'll like it. You'll become a gadol b'Yisrael. What's the next step? The next step is the Rebbe discovers that there's actually a third nefesh. Why? Why do you need a third nefesh? Because the difference between emes and not emes is not exciting. It's not frightening. People don't really care that much. So he realized the reason people don't care that much is because there's no seichel. So then he discovered that there is a nefesh hasichlis. The nefesh hasichlis understands what is good about emes, what's important about emes, and what's not nice about sheker. Why you should want emes and why you should reject sheker. You know that story about Mendel Futerfas? He saw a guy getting off a bus on Shabbos. And he recognized that this guy once had a beard. He was once a Rosh Hashiva. And now he's getting off a bus on Shabbos. So he went over to him and he said, Shabbos? The man said, I bought the bus ticket. I bought the bus ticket before Shabbos. And Mendel said, Shabbos? He said, I made sure that the bus stopped for other people, not just for me. And Mendel said, Shabbos? So he leaned over and he whispered to him, I have to go. The KGB summoned me. And Mendel said, Shabbos? The point of that story is, here's a Rosh Hashiva, a frum Rosh Hashiva, or he was frum, and he's still being frum. He buys the ticket before Shabbos. He waits for the bus to stop for other people, not for him, because that would be Chilul Shabbos. And he gets on the bus to go to the appointment because Pikuach Nefesh. When the KGB calls, you got to go. And none of that is coming from the Nefesh Elikis. Why? That's what Reb Mendel said. It's Shabbos. Shabbos is emes. It's really, really Shabbos. And on Shabbos, you really, really don't go on a bus. They called you. They called you. They're sheker. Oh, they're scary. And yes, they can kill you. But they're sheker. So you're giving up emes for sheker? That's Chabad. When the Nefesh Bahamis says, let's do an Aveda, and you start to think, should I or shouldn't I? Okay, let's see. Will I get in trouble? Will it cost me a lot? Will it do any damage? Any of these, will it make me feel guilty? That's not Chabad. The Chabad approach is, the Nefesh Abahamis says, this is really important, you should do this. And your reaction is, no, it's not. What are you making up Baba Mises? It's not important. It's okay if you do it by buying the ticket for, no, it's not okay. Are you making up these Baba Mises? So a Chosid's reaction is, you're lying to me. Lying is disgusting. Worse than Ra. I think that is the essence of the Maimah that we're going to learn. But first, get to know this Baal Peh in Yiddish.
Can you tell us the market again? It's Sefer HaSichos.
It's Sefer HaSichos from the Friedrich Rebbe, obviously, not Likutei Sichos. Sefer HaSichos, Kayetz Tafshin. Tafshin Aleph and Tafshin Beis, and it's on page 127. It's a Sicha from the Suda of Shavuos.
Okay.
Shavuos of Tafshin. Let me just a little trivia. Where was the Friedrich Rebbe on Shavuos of Tafshin? Anybody?
In Lakewood?
Oh, you want to know the exact city? I was just thinking, was he in Poland or in America?
He had come to America right before Purim that year.
Yeah. It was a few months after arriving in America. So in this Sikha, he basically introduced Chabad to America. So it would be a nice project. To memorize this would be great. But a nice project would be, everybody find one story of a childhood experience of each of the Rabbeim. Here's a story of the Alter Rebbe when he was 5 years old. Can you find the story of the Baal Shem Tov when he was 5 years old? Or 6? Find the story of the Maggid when he was 5 years old? And so on. Each of the Rabbeim, find a childhood story, and let's put together a little booklet. Baby Rebbes. If you want to find it, there's this series of books called Sefer HaToldos. Sefer HaToldos, the Baal Shem Tov, Sefer HaToldos, the Alter Rebbe. And at the beginning, of course, you're going to find stories of their childhood. If anybody has this Sefer, if you look for it a little bit, you should be able to find it. And you print out those pages for yourself, it would be helpful to memorize it, because it's the whole story. If anybody ever wants to know what is Chabad, it'll take you 5 minutes to tell the whole story. And really what it's telling you, what does it mean that Alter Rebbe thought of this when he was 5 years old? Come on, how smart do you have to be? What it's saying is, the Rebbe didn't think up Chabad. The Alter Rebbe is Chabad. It didn't start when he was 5. It didn't start when he was 3. That's him. He found ways of putting it into words when he was 5, or maybe sooner. So what does it mean that the Rebbe says that when I was 3 years old and starting Cheder, I already had a picture of what Geula, what it means? He wasn't a brilliant genius 3-year-old. It means that's him. That is him. So you say the Alter Rebbe developed the philosophy of Chabad. Yeah. No, the Alter Rebbe was Chabad. That was him. So I guess you have to say the same thing. The Rashbi wrote the Zohar. Cute. And before he wrote it, and if he didn't have a pen and paper, like what? He is the Zohar. That's him. Beis Shammai is Gvura. Beis Hillel is Chesed. Anyway, time's up. Gute Nacht. It was a pleasure. And hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Bezrat Hashem Yisbarach. Thank you, Ta.
Thanks, Nissim.